Hey there, Barkley Brookers.
Hi.
So this week we're going to do something a little bit different, and I have a few guest readers for you. So this time, Zoe is going to read you a story from East Africa, and it is called Imani in the Belly, and it is by Deborah Newton Chocolate, I think. Yep, Deborah Newton Chocolate. How awesome would it be if your last name was Chocolate? So awesome. All right, so here is the story of Imani in the Belly.
I'm just gonna turn it after I read it.
That's
I can't. I'm not as professional as you. I can't hold it and read.
It's a skill. It's all right.
I think I can, but I don't want to.
It's okay.
A long time ago, in a small village in Africa, lived a woman named Imani, which means faith. Imani and her 3 children lived a full day's journey from the city and the marketplace. So each year at harvest time, Imani had to travel a full day to sell her crops of cassavas, sugar cane, and yarns. Whenever she was away, Imani left her children to look after one another.
This is in the style of traditional African art, these pictures, with their bold colors. Saturated, second graders, you know that word, saturated, bold.
Each day, herds of wild animals thundered past Imani's village. The people cried out, "Run for your lives!" And, the sound of their neighbors' voices, other villagers threw down their digging sticks and scattered to their huts. With their children and farm animals, they hid beneath kraal fences, trembling and crying with fear. And each day, when the dust settled over the land, there were fewer and fewer people left, for the king of beasts was swallowing up the villagers, their children, and their animals. One morning, as Imani prepared to leave for the marketplace, she told her children, "My little Watoto, as soon as I leave the village, you must hurry inside the hut. When you hear the wild animals approaching, you must hide from the stamping herd." "Yes, Mama Mazi," cried the children obediently, but as soon as Imani had gone, they wandered off to a rain pond near the forest from the village. So far away had the children wandered that they did not hear the cry, "Run for your lives," as chattering hyenas, screeching monkeys, and trumpeting elephants raced past the village to the very forest where they played. Imani's eldest child was the first to see the animals coming toward them. Leading the way was Simba, the horrible king of beasts, with a roar of rolling thunder. His giant strides made the jungle floor tremble. Quickly, the children hid behind a towering grove of dome plants, but the hungry beast soon encircled them. In a voice that made the palm trees stop whispering in the wind, the beast said, "Come closer, my little ones. I can hardly see you." As the children moved closer, Simba rolled out his tongue and swallowed them up. When Imani returned from the marketplace, a frightened neighbor greeted her. "Imani," began the woman breathlessly, "while you were away, Simba swallowed up your 3 children." Imani was so stricken with grief, she cried herself to sleep. While she slept, her own Mama Nzazi came to her in a dream. "My Watoto," Imani's mother tried to confront her. "Why are you crying so?" "Mama," explained Imani, "a terrible beast has swallowed my children." "Then you must gather your faith and go after the beast," Imani's mother advised her. "Go now, and gather some meat and some dry sticks, and sharpen 2 stones. When you have done this, you must go in search of your children and the beast." "What should I do when I see the beast?" she asked. "Let your faith guide you," answered her mother, and then she was gone. When Imani awoke, she gathered meat and dry sticks and sharpened 2 stones as her mother had instructed. Then she set out along the path in search of her children and the beast. She climbed rolling hills and barren mountains. Through the blazing heat of daylight, Imani wandered across the jungle until she could travel no more. At last, she slept beneath the full moon of the night. At sunrise, she began her journey again. Imani had not gone far when she fell upon her knees. "Mama, wee!" she cried. Before her was a herd of wild animals grazing along a kraal fence by the edge of the river. Among them was Simba, king of the beasts. Trembling with fear, Imani crept closer and closer until she was standing in Simba's great, dark, terrible shadow. Surrounded by a circle of hungry animals, Imani began to plead. "Please, sir, please tell me what you have done with my children." In a voice that made clouds scatter in the sky, Simba replied, "Come closer, woman. I can hardly see you." Imani inched toward the beast. Suddenly, the forest floor grew dim, and the beast's long, wet tongue rolled from his mouth, engulfing Imani in one long, sweeping stroke. Tumbling headfirst, Imani slid, slipped, and bumped her way down the beast's slithery red throat. After several twists and a great many turns, she landed softly in the belly of the beast. When Simba opened his mouth to let out a satisfied roar, sunlight shone down on Imani's 3 children and all of the villagers and their animals. "Imani," exclaimed her friends and neighbors, "you have found us." "Mama," cried her children, "we are so frightened here. We have nothing to fill our bellies." Quickly, Imani knelt down, struck her stones of flint together, and blew softly on the wooden sticks to build a fire. She then cooked the meat from her bag for her children and the villagers to eat. But the heat from the fire stung the beast's belly, and he let out a full-throated "Arg!" Not only did his belly ache, but his throat was parched from the rising smoke of the fire. Simba called the other animals together to ask what he should do. Imani pressed her ear on the wall of the beast's belly and listened as chattering hyenas, screeching monkeys, and trumpeting elephants all offered their advice. "You must eat Edo from the calabash bowl, O Great One," said Monkey nervously. "No, no," offered Hyena, chattering wildly. "You must stick your head in the honey beehive like this, Great Simba." "Bzzz! Not that," screamed Elephant. "The bees will sting Simba's head 1,000 times." "That is true," laughed Hyena, "but at least it will take his mind off his stomach ache." All the while, the beast moaned and roared and rolled in the mud. At last, he stuck his head in the kraal fence and lay there, wisps of white smoke floating out his nose. In the distance, Monkey saw a crowd of shouting villagers armed with sticks and stones heading for Simba. Monkey took one look at the angry villagers and said to the animals, "You must hurry. Those of you who herd in the grasslands must go to the grasslands. Those of you who gather in the bush must flee to that place. As for me and my cousins, we will run away to the trees." Quickly, all the wild animals ran away. Hyena raced to the grasslands, bird flew to the bush, and elephant and giraffe galloped to the plains. Can't see it. My hands are too big. All this time, Imani had been planning her own escape. With hemp rope from the necks of goats and cows, she formed a long chain. "My brothers and sisters, we must help one another if we are to escape," she told the villagers. Then, linking themselves together, they began the long, hard climb up the slithery throat of the beast. But Imani soon discovered that climbing up was twice as hard as sliding down. For every 3 steps she made, Imani slid back one. So the villagers began to sing out, "Faith to be Imani, faith to be Imani." To encourage her on her way, Imani began to climb higher and higher until she reached the beast's mouth. She tied the rope to the beast's red-hot, swollen tonsils and began to pull the other villagers up one by one. Ooh. I'm just realizing her eyes are, that's her earrings. When they had all reached the beast's mouth, Simba let out a cough that sent everyone flying onto the jungle floor. All the people looked up at the sky, for it had been a while since they had seen sunset. Oxen sniffed at the wind, trying to pick up the scent of wild animals, but all the animals had scattered to the places where they can still be found to this day. Kind of looks like upside down. It's weird. After the fire in his belly went out, Simba ran away from the plains and has never been seen or heard from again. As for the villagers who had faith in Imani, they all joined hands with her, and because they believed in themselves and their power, the great people became a great nation. Thanks be to Imani, whose faith has freed us all.
That's the end.
I tried.
You did well. Didn't she do a good job, my friends?
I'm good at this.
All right, on to the next one.